Evan Riley vanished without a sound, leaving only a blood-streaked car and a single black glove, while a nameless filmmaker turned Crow Moor into a living stage where fear itself became the deadliest weapon. Crow Moor was a quiet town with narrow lanes, dim streetlights, and a reputation for safety that residents often bragged about to visitors. Families left bicycles leaning against fences, children played late in the park during summer, and even the small police station rarely heard of anything more serious than a lost wallet. That sense of comfort began to crumble one misty evening in early autumn. A lone cyclist pedaled home after a late shift at the bakery and noticed a dark streak across the pavement near the deserted bus stop. At first, it looked like spilled paint, but the metallic smell rising from the damp air revealed something far more disturbing. The trail of fresh blood glistened under the weak glow of a flickering streetlight, winding toward an alley that led nowhere. The cyclist's call brought officers racing to the scene. They followed the crimson path until it stopped abruptly beside a bent metal sign marked with deep scratches, as if someone had tried to claw their way out of the night. Search teams combed the area for hours. No footprints stood out on the wet ground. No knife, shard of glass, or blunt object explained the stains. Not even a scrap of clothing hinted at the person who might have been hurt. Only a single black glove rested in the gutter, soaked and heavy. By dawn, word of the discovery had spread across town. Local radio stations broadcast warnings before commuters even poured their morning coffee. Rumors erupted faster than the facts. Some whispered about a late-night mugging gone wrong. Others insisted it was the work of a hidden gang passing through. The most common theory blamed a knife attack, a fear that made headlines and set social media buzzing with speculation. Parents kept their children indoors after school. Elderly neighbors peered through curtains at every passerby, flinching when car doors slammed or dogs barked. Crow Moor's sense of security began to feel like a fragile illusion. Shopkeepers closed early, citing sudden headaches and quiet unease. Even the local cafe, once the heart of evening chatter, emptied before sunset. Officers patrolled in pairs, their boots echoing through streets that had grown unnervingly silent. In a single night, the town's cheerful routine transformed into watchful caution. Everyone waited for an update that never came. No missing person fit the blood type found at the scene. No one stepped forward with new information. The mysterious trail remained, a scar on the concrete and a question that no one could answer. What began as an ordinary evening had become the start of a story that Crow Moor would not forget, and a fear that felt sharper than any blade. 2 nights after the discovery at the bus stop, another unsettling scene deepened the mystery. A hunter walking a familiar trail through the woods spotted a dark shape between the trees. It was a car, half hidden behind overgrown branches, its headlights off and windows streaked with dew. The license plate revealed it belonged to Evan Riley, a local handyman known for early morning repairs and quiet habits. He had not been reported missing, yet his phone went unanswered and his small cottage stood empty when officers arrived. The abandoned vehicle carried an eerie stillness, as if someone had stepped away only moments earlier and vanished into the forest without a sound. Inside the car, investigators found faint streaks of red across the dashboard and a metallic scent lingering in the cold air. Forensics quickly confirmed the blood matched the sample from the bus stop. No fingerprints, no hair, and no signs of a struggle offered any direction. The keys were gone, but the driver's door showed no sign of forced entry. A folded newspaper lay in the trunk, a section carefully torn and circled in heavy black ink. The highlighted article described an upcoming charity walk against knife crime scheduled for the weekend. The connection felt deliberate, like a taunt left for whoever might be looking. News of the discovery spread before dawn, setting Crow Moor on edge once again. Streets emptied earlier than ever, and even the sound of distant footsteps made residents glance over their shoulders. Police presence doubled, but the added patrols only reminded everyone that something dark was unfolding. Small groups gathered in whispers near shop entrances, trading theories about a serial attacker or a vigilante targeting the town's reputation for safety. Social media exploded with speculation, each rumor more alarming than the last. Detectives scoured Evan Riley's home for clues. His refrigerator held fresh groceries, his tools were neatly arranged, and his calendar showed a full schedule of repair appointments. It looked as though he had stepped out for a moment and never returned. Neighbors recalled seeing him the previous afternoon carrying a box of supplies, calm and unhurried. The absence of struggle or forced entry puzzled investigators, and the strange newspaper clipping only deepened the sense that someone wanted the town to believe a dangerous pattern was forming. With no body, no weapon, and no clear motive, the trail of fear lengthened. Crowmore's residents, once confident their lives were untouched by serious crime, now faced the chilling thought that the next clue might appear anywhere and that anyone could be the next to vanish. When the weekend charity walk finally arrived, a nervous energy pulsed through Crowmore. Volunteers set up water stations and banners under a sky the color of steel, while police quietly stationed plainclothes officers in the crowd. Residents who once celebrated the town's safety now scanned every shadow, uneasy but curious enough to attend. As the first group of walkers crossed the starting line, a sharp, eerie siren echoed from an alley near the main square. The sound sliced through the chatter, sending participants stumbling to a halt. Officers sprinted toward the noise and discovered a large suitcase propped against a brick wall, its sides streaked with what looked like dried blood. Inside lay a chaotic assortment of crimson-stained bandages and an envelope holding a single folded sheet of paper. The paper displayed a hand-drawn map of Crowmore's abandoned industrial district, a maze of empty warehouses and rusted pipes left behind after a chemical fire years earlier. One building on the edge of the district was marked with a thick black X. The clue felt staged, deliberate, as if the person responsible was directing the investigation like a performance. The factory district, silent for decades, loomed like a skeletal memory of the town's past. Officers moved in before sunset, their flashlights sweeping across broken windows and walls scrawled with fading graffiti. Inside the building marked on the map, they discovered a scene that froze them where they stood. Dozens of mannequins were arranged across the dusty floor, each dressed in ordinary clothing: a teacher's cardigan, a postal worker's jacket, a child's raincoat. Deep red paint streaked their torsos to resemble knife wounds, and around their necks hung small tags bearing random dates from the previous year. The most unsettling sight was the message sprayed across a crumbling concrete wall in towering black letters: "Fear cuts deeper." The words dripped with fresh paint, still wet enough to smudge under a gloved finger. There were no footprints in the powdery dust, no discarded tools, and no sign of Evan Riley. Forensics later confirmed the blood on the bandages was a theatrical mixture of syrup and dye, yet that offered little comfort. Crowmore's knees swelled into outright panic. Families canceled plans, schools closed for emergency safety reviews, and the charity event dissolved into chaos. Residents no longer debated whether a crime had occurred. They argued only about how far the perpetrator might go next. The town that once prided itself on quiet nights now felt like a stage set for someone's dark game, and every unanswered question deepened the sense that the worst revelations were still to come. The shock of the mannequin discovery rippled through every corner of Crowmore, turning quiet streets into tense corridors of suspicion. Within hours of the factory raid, shopkeepers pulled down shutters and parents refused to let children walk to school. Patrol cars moved in constant loops, their flashing lights reflecting off dark windows. Residents who once exchanged friendly waves now avoided eye contact, as though acknowledging one another might draw the unseen culprit closer. Each evening, the local news replayed the same images of painted mannequins, their lifeless eyes seeming to follow the camera, while commentators speculated about cults, performance artists, or a budding serial killer. Detectives worked tirelessly to untangle the riddle. They traced the blood-stained suitcase to an online marketplace where it had been purchased under a false name with a stolen credit card. The card belonged to a retired art teacher who reported her wallet missing after attending a crowded street fair 3 weeks earlier. Security footage from that fair revealed a tall figure in a long coat moving smoothly through the crowd, face obscured by a patterned scarf. The person's deliberate steps and occasional glances toward the cameras suggested someone who wanted to be noticed but not identified. As investigators pieced together leads, a maintenance worker inspecting the river locks made a chilling discovery. Beneath the central bridge, chained to a rusted support beam, sat a waterproof box coated in algae. Inside were several memory cards wrapped in plastic and a note with a single phrase typed in bold letters: "Still watching." The cards contained night vision recordings of ordinary residents walking home, shopping for groceries, or sitting in their living rooms with curtains half drawn. None of the people filmed had any connection to Evan Riley or to one another. The revelation sent Crowmore into deeper paranoia. Curtains remained closed day and night. Neighbors reported suspicious sounds, only to find stray cats or gusts of wind. Businesses that had survived decades of economic hardship now struggled to stay open, their customers too frightened to venture out. Despite the growing panic, investigators found no evidence of physical harm. The blood from earlier scenes remained artificial, and the mannequins nothing more than plastic and paint. Yet the psychological damage was undeniable. Someone was orchestrating a spectacle designed to feed fear, choosing every detail to keep the town off balance. With Evan Riley still missing and the hooded figure a step ahead, Moor's once simple nights had turned into a prolonged test of nerves, and the final act of this unsettling performance felt ominously close. Weeks passed as Moor waited for the next move, the entire town balanced between dread and exhaustion. Patrols continued around the clock, yet the mysterious figure never appeared on any official camera again. Residents learned to live with drawn curtains and sudden curfews, their daily routines reduced to quick errands and locked doors. The story had grown beyond the town, drawing journalists and thrill-seekers who arrived hoping to witness the next twist. Each newcomer only heightened the tension, their curiosity, a reminder that the person behind the chaos might still be watching. The break came just before dawn on a bitterly cold morning. A patrol officer noticed faint movement near the same bus stop where the first trail of blood had been found. Hidden in the shadows, a young man in dark clothing struggled to lift a life-size mannequin from the back of a van. He froze when the officer's flashlight cut through the mist. Backup arrived within minutes, surrounding the vehicle and uncovering more mannequins wrapped in tarps, along with cans of red paint and a box of theatrical blood packs. At the station, the man identified himself as a local filmmaker known for experimental projects, someone who had quietly rented studio space under various aliases. He confessed that every scene, the blood trail, the abandoned car, the mannequin factory, even the eerie night vision recordings had been part of an elaborate documentary meant to explore society's obsession with violence. The missing handyman, Evan Riley, had volunteered as an actor to disappear for dramatic effect, hiding at a relative's cabin while the story unfolded. The stolen credit card had been a reckless prop choice, one of several tricks to make the production feel real. Investigators confirmed his claims one by one. The blood was corn syrup and dye. The memory cards were staged recordings using friends and paid extras. Even the suitcase and the bridge box had been planted according to a detailed production schedule. No one had been hurt, and Evan Riley returned unharmed, sheepishly explaining that he wanted to maintain the mystery until the final reveal. Despite relief that no crime had occurred, Moor struggled with a different kind of shock. The fear had been real, the sleepless nights and shuttered shops tangible. The filmmaker argued that his work exposed how quickly panic can spread when people believe a violent threat is near. Some residents demanded charges for the terror he caused, while others admitted the spectacle revealed uncomfortable truths about their appetite for sensational stories. In the end, Moor was left to rebuild its sense of safety, haunted not by an attacker with a knife, but by the knowledge that fear itself had been the sharpest weapon of all.